So this, of course, is the big moment. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Washington, D.C. and as we speak, he is in the Oval Office. He's holding a bilateral conversation with the American President Joe Biden. And minutes before beginning the top-level bilateral talks, both the U.S. President and the Indian Prime Minister addressed the crowd that had gathered in the south lawns of the White House. Now, hundreds of members of the Indian-American diaspora had lined up outside of the south lawn to get a glimpse of the Indian Prime Minister. And these are live visuals that are being beamed out from inside of the White House. We expect the two leaders to in fact step up and address a joint press conference. And what is also being said is that the two leaders will also take questions from reporters. So preparations presently are underway as we expect the bilateral meeting to come to an end, or should be in its virtual last stages between the two leaders. Now, the stage is being set. The press conference is about to begin in a few moments from now, where the Indian Prime Minister and the American President will stand side by side and will again address the media. The dignitaries and, of course, the international media is gathered there. And this, of course, is a moment, a key moment, and a defining moment in terms of how the India-US partnership will, of course, be taken forward. Because remember, the United States appears to pull off all stops in terms of how it says it wants to take the India equation forward. The American president did not mince words. He came forth and he said that this is a relationship that will define the 21st century. Those are some very, very strong words there. The United States is looking for a reliable partner, and especially considering the divergence that exists between how the United States wants to deal with China and how some of the European nations such as France and Germany would want to deal with China. The United States wants a reliable friend in taking on China is how many defense and geopolitical experts had put it. And this is the reason why the United States is so actively wooing India, with all stops having been pulled off. And this is going to be an important press briefing for several reasons. Firstly, it will be interesting to see as to what announcements will, of course, be made. But the broad outlines in terms of some of the aspects that have been spoken about are pretty much out there in the public domain. We expect something to be said in terms of the defense sector. We also expect something to be said in terms of increasing people-to-people contacts. The rules for the H-1B visas are expected to be redesigned, and this will be a big step in the diplomatic ties, because Indians apparently are the people who make use of the H-1B visa more than people of any other nationality in the world. And the process of renewing the H-1B visas is likely to be streamlined and made much more easier. And apart from this, there are several other aspects of cooperation, be it in semiconductors, be it in space, be it in sharing technologies, be it in geostrategy. All of this, of course, we will, of course, hear from the two leaders in just a bit from now. And to give us more perspective in terms of what, of course, is expected this moment, we are being joined in by my colleague Molly Gambhir, who is joining us live on this broadcast. Molly, we expect the joint press briefing to begin in a moment from now. But what we are clearly witnessing at this moment is history in the making, where stronger ties are being forged between India and the United States.
Indeed, Saleh, we are just moments away now from the key deliverables that will be taking shape as far as the India-US partnership is concerned. A huge boost for the defense cooperation is expected. After all, India and the US realizing the need that the two sides have when it comes to partnering with the other side, and the potential really that this collaboration has. No wonder then that defense deals, the expectations of defense announcements and also tech ties have been underpinning the Indian Prime Minister's maiden state visit here. The relationship has already been called among the most consequential relationships. Of course, ties between the two sides have not always been smooth sailing, but over the past decade, they have reached a transformative moment, as the US officials have been calling it, and the Indian Prime Minister's visit here has been labeled as a springboard to touch new horizons, also the lifting of barriers, which is a very significant aspect of this visit, which sends out a strong message of partnership between the two sides, and also setting new benchmarks in defense industrial cooperation. Those have been the expectations, and the US, of course, hopes to bring India further into its defense and manufacturing orbit. Also hoping to wean New Delhi's military off Russia and also US supply chains off China. India also looking at the United States as a crucial partner when it comes to defense collaboration, and people-to-people ties, like you rightly pointed out, have been a very significant cornerstone of this relationship as well. And it's interesting how even when we talk about the sharing of technology and the crucial ISET, which is Initiative for Critical and Emerging Technology, that also has been called as a way to build stronger people-to-people ties, to build to deepen the trust between the two sides and bring businesses in the two countries even closer.
Absolutely indeed, Bonnie. Do continue to stay on with us. Meanwhile, we're also being joined by retired Colonel David Desroches. He's joining us live in this broadcast. Now, Colonel Desroches, now this is a crucial moment, is it not? Because in terms of what the American president had to say, when he spoke at the White House, at the lawns of the White House, he said that this is a relationship that will define the 21st century. Is that your assessment as well?
Guardedly so. I mean, there's been a great desire in American policy circles going back to the Kennedy administration to have closer links with India. This narrative of the world's two most populous democracies. The fact that we have a broader range of common interests, it just seems logical that we should have a more robust partnership across a whole range of issues, not just security. It looked as though we were having a serious breakthrough in the George W. Bush administration when Washington took the lead in waiving nuclear proliferation sanctions against India. But time and time again, we've run up into various issues of inaccessibility of the market and really the persistence of what I would argue is a long dead Cold War appropriate non-alignment mentality among Indians' foreign policy elites. I think that the fact that the Chinese have actually killed Indian soldiers on Indian soil may have finally dispelled that sort of 1956 thinking. So I'm guardedly optimistic.